What's up,
Not
man?
much.
Long time no
I
see.
know. How have you been?
I've been great, man.
Love to
The
hear.
market is treating us
I
well.
know.
It
I
seems
know.
like there's light at the end of the tunnel,
It's a
so can't
Christmas
complain.
miracle.
Exactly. How you been over there?
Things are going really well. I mean, obviously we're very happy over here. We got the white paper out, so it's exciting to kind of be able to talk about these things, obviously. Um, and
Sure.
I'm happy to I'm glad to be on here. Glad that uh, you know, glad that these things are all happening. I think the sentiment in the market is really, really solid, as I'm sure so many people can kind of feel. And I think that just transcends to so many different things, which I mean, it feels awesome. It always does. It always has. It always does. And I think it's a sign of the times to come, and just how kind of excited we all are.
Perfect time to drop a white paper,
Right?
it sounds like.
Perfect time for a lot of things.
That's for sure. That's for sure. What do you think before we get started about what you guys are building over there, and perhaps also a bit about yourself? What do you think about the market these days? Like, do you think we're continuing going up? Are we?
No, I think
Is the Christmas
we
miracle
are due
continuing?
for a
Or
little bit of a correction. I think, not to be the bearer of these news, but you can only have so much concentration and hype. I think normally you probably see a little bit of a come down towards the new year, and I think normally what you see after you have the American New Year and then kind of Chinese New Year, and after that you kind of get a lot of more spending power in the market. Um,
Hmm.
and I think the happening is going to be a very good event to kind of look out for in terms of yeah,
Yeah,
obviously kind of importance and rebounding. I mean, yeah, man, it's also exciting. I think we're all in the right place at the right time, and it's nice to see like who stuck around and who's coming back is also probably even more fun to see. Um, and so it's really exciting. I think you're starting to see some like traction. You're starting to see happiness again, which sounds so depressing when I
mm.
say that. But I mean, unfortunately, we're due for another correction, obviously. But I think once it makes me feel like, it really does make me feel like it's kind of early, early DeFi summer, if we were to make any kind of comparison.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I think that's a good
What about
analogy,
you?
actually, for
What are your
anyone.
thoughts? I mean, how?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's tough to say, of course, with these things, but of course, the big one happening around beginning of April.
Hmm.
I think the estimate is right now.
Hmm.
Is usually a big event, a big catalyst. I must say I'm a bit surprised that the market is starting to show these positive signs so early, but
Me too.
at the
Actually,
same
me too.
time, it's a little bit like the stars are aligning.
Hmm.
Like we have the spot ETF, Bitcoin spot ETF. We have rates coming down, Fed rates coming down. Like it seems like a perfect storm in a good
In a
way,
great way. Yeah, yeah,
in a
in a
positive way.
great way.
Yeah, the stars are aligning. I
Definitely.
think someone said for a really really strong bull market. Who knows, of course, but I, personally, just not financial advice, guys, or anything. But personally, I was just preparing for the Bitcoin happening. Typically, that's when sort of the momentum starts to get going. So that's
Hmm.
why I say I'm a bit surprised that the momentum is starting to show so strong already here in December. So, but yeah, of course, can't complain about that. But
Yeah.
I was just surprised that it
Yeah,
was
right?
happening so early compared to.
I mean, you just started
So,
seeing you just started seeing momentum so quickly, right? And I think momentum creates momentum in kind of this industry, right? And at some point you just can't. There's certain trains you just can't stop.
yeah, exactly. But enough about the market. I mean, who knows? Time will tell,
Time
right?
will tell.
But let's talk about Burnt and XION. Let's talk about you first, perhaps, because I remember the last time we spoke, and I can see this was back in September.
Wow,
So for anyone who hasn't checked that out, go check that out, of
that's
course.
crazy.
Yeah,
Time flies, dude.
time flies.
Wow.
Uh, but I just remember last time we spoke, I was you know, your story is just such a powerful story. Really, it's a beautiful story that I think more people should know about, more people should hear about. Almost like starstruck kind of story. That
You're making me blush
the
over
first time
here.
I heard it. So perhaps while people are settling in and all that, just tell us a little bit about yourself and the personal story that I'm sure you know what I'm referring
Yeah,
to,
of
and then
course.
we'll dive into Scion.
Absolutely. Cool. So I guess everyone who doesn't know, and I guess last time I made it a lot easier because I was on the Burnt Banksy Twitter, but my name is Burnt Banksy, as a, I guess a moniker that I go online. The reason people call me that, kind of just based off the story, which early March 2021, we bought a Banksy painting for about 90,000 US dollars, and instead of kind of hanging it up on a wall, we lit it on fire and sold it as an NFT. Kind of as an expression of, I think at the time NFTs were really, really nothing. And we were getting a lot of hate. We're getting a lot of flack about, well, if it's not in my living room, if I can't touch it, where's the value? NFTs are stupid, and we're like, well, actually, we disagree. Let's take something that has value, quote unquote, sold in a Sotheby's auction, and light it on fire, and see if the value holds if we sell it as an NFT on OpenSea. And we ended up selling it for it was like $400,000 at the time. So our experiment worked very, very well. And I mean, I'm actually, it's funny, I have this VentureBeat article right here, which says the Burnt Banksy painting was one of the main catalysts of the NFT revolution, together with Beeple's Christie's auction and Justin Sun spinning a Picasso on a Warhol on the blockchain. And it's funny because I was looking the other day, at the Wikipedia article for NFTs, and I had no idea that the Burnt Banksy event is actually cited on, really as one of the events that kind of kicked off the revolution, which was just kind of a humbling thing to
It's
read.
huge.
Yeah, man, and so
It's huge. I mean, before we spoke, I remember I read the story, and I was like, when I was doing research,
what a bunch
before
of
we met the first
idiots.
time, I was like, I didn't think, I thought it was actually kind of funny, but when I was doing research before our first, the first time we had you on, I was like, what the fuck? Is this the guy that did that?
I'm him.
Is that,
I'm
are we
him.
really gonna talk to him? I was just, yeah, that was so funny. But anyways, yeah. So you did that. That's
Yes.
it's a true story out there. You got to go check out on the internet. It's all over the place.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. And I guess I want to say a little alpha, but maybe I guess we're starting to plan another one coming up too. We just kind of got the ideas. I
Uh-oh.
know.
All right.
I know. I literally can't say anything more because I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, there's gonna be another one.
And you can count on us for sharing the news about
Hell
it. That's
yeah.
for sure.
Hell yeah. I know I can. You guys have always been great at
It's
that,
awesome.
genuinely.
But let's talk about Scion because obviously that's how you and I sort of first met
Hmm.
online, at least via Cosmos Club. Now we host spaces via Coin Club, which is our parent organization. But yeah, I mean, obviously we are super deep into the Cosmos ecosystem. We love people building in Cosmos. So what is Scion and why should people pay attention here?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Zion is just a different approach to how we think about blockchains. I think we've been around in this industry where, obviously Ethereum is a huge, huge mover in the industry, right? And I think a lot of the work on Ethereum ends up being work to kind of patch up decisions that were made, kind of pushing a lot of things to the social level, obviously kind of having a really difficult time changing a lot of things kind of on the pure protocol level as it's super ingrained and it's very difficult, right? And so, I mean, I do like to think of us kind of with the second mover advantage of really knowing the market and knowing where a lot of shortcomings fall. And I think the way you look at the market is it's just extremely difficult for a traditional person to kind of use it, right? I do think that you're seeing a lot of scaling solutions kind of coming up. But I really do think that the industry is still unable to kind of crack out of the echo chamber. And we believe Zion to be this breaking out of the echo chamber, right? And I think a lot of it is just the immense fragmentation, the immense complexity of still trying, whether it be on a standard level or companies trying to integrate level, there's this huge, 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 huge issue of still it's inaccessible, right? And for something that for a technology that's really meant for decentralizing ownership, we really are only allowing the extremely highly technical and the highly knowledge to benefit from it, right? And I always joke because everyone says we're onboarding the next billion users, but we haven't even onboarded the first billion users, right? And I think a lot of the reason, and I'm sure everyone on this call can know, but there is a 95% chance, drop off rate when a user is prompted with a Web3 wallet. I mean, look at everything kind of coming after Sam and Doe, and just people don't even want to trust crypto. And it's for an industry that's so synonymous with removing trust, with the least trusted industry. And so in a long-winded way, we do believe that XION solves this and kind of, and I'll get into our approach of generalized abstraction and what we mean by that. But, at the top level, and what we've always wanted to solve for is mimicking Web 2 with what we call a Web 3 backend.
Interesting. And yeah, I think you're starting to see that also, obviously in the nascent state, but more and more people are waking up. I think Solana is a good example of this, where they sort of have a Web 2 feel to it. Both the UI and their approach to many things, of course, speed, etc. So a lot of people, they interact with Solana without really realizing it. Of course, you still need a wallet and all these things, so there's still some work to do. But I think, you're starting to see that more and more, like people mimicking Web 2, but still the rails underneath is Web 3 and blockchain. But yeah, talk to us about that approach that you guys have, because obviously the big news here is that you announced your white paper, XION, the generalized abstraction layer. So yeah, let's dive in. What's that all about? What is the generalized abstraction layer?
Generalized abstraction is an interesting kind of way of describing things. I think the word generalized abstraction, and I don't know if the term, actually, I'll ask the question back to you. I don't think we used the term generalized abstraction when we spoke last time, did we?
No,
Yeah.
we didn't.
So here's the kind of story of generalized abstraction. I think we knew our vision, we knew what we wanted to do, and we know what we wanted to do since the Banksy days, right? And it was bring retail to crypto, or crypto to retail, I should say. But we really found it was so difficult. Like, we would say Web 2 with a Web 3 backend, and no one would understand what that meant. No one would understand how, what we were doing, and we tried so many different kind of like mutations of this, right? But at the end of the day, on a purely technical level, right? We we have opinionated views that a lot of decisions should be made on a protocol level, because everything that's on the protocol level is it's effectively law, right? You don't need social consensus, you don't need fragmentation to solve because it's on the protocol level. And as we kind of came to the market and was talking to people, people understood account abstraction, right? And I think you kind of go to any big conference, you talk about 4337, people know what it is, right? At least, if you're kind of following around and you're kind of in it, you definitely, you've definitely heard about 4337. You definitely know about account abstraction. And, a lot of account abstraction was how do you say it, right? Like, a lot of account abstraction was vague, in the sense, right? And it was, is it paymaster? Is it bundler? But it was this kind of vision that was understood by a lot of people of, oh, okay, UX should be good, users shouldn't have to worry about it. And I think we really latched onto that because I could say the word, then I would start saying, we're an account abstraction chain, right? But the issue with that kind of then became, well, we've been working for a year and a half, and we do so much more than protocol level account abstraction, right? And I think for those who read the white paper, I won't spoil it for you, but whether that be the fees and the interoperability, whether that be kind of whether that be kind of signatures, whether that be devices, the unfortunate issue is, like, we could say the word account abstraction, but it was so narrow in its definition that it just unfortunately didn't describe enough of what we were doing and enough of the issues that needed to be solved, right? Because even with account abstraction, you still have key management issues, you still have signing issues. The thing about 4337 is that it is making it easier to make wallets. We are fundamentally approaching blockchain from a completely first principles direction, right? And these are called meta
Mm.
accounts, right? And everything is a meta account on XION, right? We can additionally, via ICA, have meta accounts on, whether that be Injective, whether that be Neutron, right? And being able to, by an IBC connection, be able to kind of mimic these transactions. Why I call that abstracted interoperability, right, is because we don't think the user should care what chain you're on, right? By having everything in US dollars and everything easy and everything abstracted, it doesn't matter what chain you're on. You don't need to buy a token to enter a new ecosystem. And I can continue to go more on this, but the issue is that we had spent so long, I think for us, we were originally thinking MPC, but it was just miserable, and I can go into that. But I think
Mm.
account abstraction was such a small aspect of what we were doing, and the vision as a whole, and the need, not the want, the need for a chain to do what we want to do was right in front of our eyes the entire time, right? And so I say the word generalized abstraction is very, it's an umbrella term at the end of the day, right? And a lot of it is
Mm.
we are opinionated that UX should be on a protocol level. We believe that the users shouldn't have to shouldn't need to know exactly how everything works in the back end and, DYOR at the end of the day, and click the right links and be susceptible to phishing attacks. I think we have an incredible team that's extremely security focused. And as you start bringing more people in, you need to be security focused as as you promise this kind of like abstraction, I would say. That was a
And
very
I want to
long-winded
dwell.
answer. I apologize.
No, it's a heavy one. The white paper also. I had to really grab my coffee and focus, and I've been in crypto for some time. So, but that's a good sign, I
Yeah,
think.
thank you.
And one of the things I want to dwell on a bit is the concept of meta accounts.
Hmm.
You mentioned it also just now. So, just in general, for anyone who is not super deep into how accounts are set up on chain, there's usually the external owned accounts, the ones that we all
No
use
and
on a daily
love.
basis, I'm sure. No one probably, especially since yesterday with the ledger stuff
Yep.
happening where everybody was panicking, which is a good example of the problems with externally owned accounts. And then there's smart contract accounts that we interact with when we interact with dApps. Typically, there's a smart contract account underneath. So yeah, that's the two main ones that we know and sometimes love, sometimes don't in crypto. So talk to us about meta accounts because that's obviously a new one for most people, I think.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, right. And this concept of meta accounts, comes about, right, because we could talk in very specific details about an EOA versus a smart contract account, but you know, the concept of a meta account is extremely all encompassing, right? It gives you, it takes this contract of, hypothetically, let's say it's a smart contract, and then saying, well, this is what we can do with that, right? We can have automatic key rotation. We can add, you can sign with your MetaMask, you can sign with your Kepler, you can sign with your Phantom wallet, or you can use your email, or you can use your phone number, or you could use your Apple, Touch ID, Face ID, right? Because now we're a smart contract. We are indifferent. There is no, and we'll get into this private public key debate, but since there's not a private public key, we can use a lot of different mechanisms to provide, to provide authenticity and to effectively encrypt, right? And so the way to think about it a lot of the times is if anyone's used Signal, right, you establish an authentication session when you log in, and then everything after that is effectively, it's seamless, right? You could send messages,
Mm.
they're all encrypted, but you don't have to sign every single time, and it's something that is extremely, extremely cool, and we're very excited about. But whether that be kind of key rotations, device agnosticity, I don't know if that's a word actually, but we're ever expanding that kind of concept of what like a meta account is. And I think one of the issues that we saw a lot with some of these smart contract accounts, like the 4337 SDKs, was just this utter fragmentation where it's like, oh, I could use FriendTech and then I could use another product, and there's not like this real
Mm.
connection There's not this real connection between these two things. And I think when we call it meta accounts, it's this way of kind of making this leap between Web 2 and Web 3, where it's accessible to Web 2, right? But it still provides the security and all the benefits and all the composability that comes with Web 3.
And that actually leads me to my next question when we talk about meta accounts and this concept that you're introducing, because in general, XION, and also I remember last time we spoke, the focus is very much on improving the user experience. Is also why I wanted to dwell on the accounts, because obviously the first thing that people meet when they first interact with Web3 is the wallet, right? Where you get started is connect your wallet, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So how does this basically improve the user experience, and as you joked about before, onboard potentially the next billion or the first billion
The first
users?
billion. Yeah. Here's the thing, right? Wallets were only created because we had a private public key that was required, right? And the last place you want to store a very secret thing is in a browser, right? And so from that kind of came MetaMask, which was required to effectively act as this, this secure place that you could store a private key so that you could operate on the internet, securely, right? And I think a lot of the thought of how crypto UX should be is based off of these legacy thoughts, right? Of, oh, we need a wallet, we need this extension, or we need to store this private key. But I asked the question, right? When and like us, what happens when you don't need a private key, right? If you are a smart contract, right? If you're in a meta account, you don't require this private public key pair, right? And so and this is why I say we're fundamentally approaching the issue from a different lens, and why we can be more similar to Web 2 is because of these meta accounts, right? We no longer need to follow these legacy thought patterns of, oh, I gotta download this wallet, or oh, let me sign up for this wallet. It's irrelevant to us, right? And I think that's a really big cornerstone of, even as we talk about devices, right? Like that is one of the big reasons why it's so hard to use mobile, is because you need what, a MetaMask app, you need the Uniswap app, and a lot of these are so that you can store these private keys, right? But we completely changed that dynamic on its head. And I think a lot of these questions of, well, and why we're not making better wallets, we're fundamentally approaching the situation from a different angle. And it's that's one of the cornerstones and one of the key points as to what we're doing is there's so much of this legacy thinking, and we need to remove it, because it can be as simple as you're thinking, right? It really can. And for someone's grandmother or mother or father to use it, we're competing with Web 2. Like we if you want someone to use something, it needs to be better, if similar, if not better, not significantly worse. And to train people to think in a different way when they don't need to, it's friction, right? It attributes to that 95% user fall off rate.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wanted to put my Cosmos hat on for a moment, because one thing you also mentioned a few times now is interoperability. In the white
Yes.
paper, there's a section about abstracted interoperability. The reason why I want to dwell on that is because a lot of people, when I ask them how did you first get interested in Cosmos, what caught your attention about Cosmos, it's almost
IBC.
always IBC.
Yep.
Almost
Totally.
always, including myself, by the way. So I think that's a big one, and it kind of, it's obvious, right? Also, when we
Hmm.
talk about usability, like who wants to bridge assets here and there and everywhere, and then it's stuck there, and you have to wait
The,
7 days or
bridging
whatever.
process is still miserable. Like,
It's terrible.
it is
It's
still
terrible.
still miserable.
IBC, I think, is really is leapfrogging the experience that you see on EVM chains and layer twos on Ethereum and all that. But still, there's some work to do. So yeah, I wanted to unpack the abstracted interoperability, because I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people, especially in Cosmos.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that makes sense, right? Which is, it's simple for people who are very in Cosmos to understand, I would say, right? And it's funny because a lot of like chain accounts, interchain accounts are so freaking cool. And I think that's where a lot of this starts is that interchain accounts are just so cool, and there's so much that you can do with it, but it's just been so little actual use of it. And it's not like, the interesting thing is we aren't I mean, there's a lot of this, but it's like by using IBC, we aren't reinventing the wheel, right? We're just taking advantage. IBC is such a light years ahead protocol where we can very seamlessly work with someone like an injective, and especially since we're smart contracts, we can mimic exactly what we're doing on injective with us, right? And then being able to kind of be this abstracted, you know, and that's why I say about abstracted interoperability, right? And I think there's a lot of tools, and it's funny. I see Justin is here, who's actually on our team, but I guess I just doxed him. But he's kind of here. But there's so many tools that are just not like Auth0 is something that we use a lot for security reasons, right? And it's this kind of permission set of like a trusted app, or interchain accounts, being able to set limits, being able to mimic these transactions. There's so much potential that has only been talked about in the pure hypothetical that we utilize because it makes a lot of sense, right? And so to think about interchain accounts as effective, like, this multi-chain architecture. I hate the word intense. I really I think there's a lot of people who could be using the word intense, and I'm never going to say that this is an intent-based architecture, but theoretically, like, that's what we want. Is we want someone to say, oh, I just want to use this product. I want to use Mito from Injective, not need to care that it's Injective, not need to buy the Injective token, not need to do anything, but just use the product, right? And I think via ICA that is extremely easy because we can mimic these kind of transactions, because we can have these multi-chain conversations, and because everything is connected. And, even as we kind of look to say hyperlane, or the landslide for AVAX, I think there's a world out there that's beyond rollups, and I think being able to get there, and being able to be collaborative in this multi-chain world, right? Like, and I think a lot of Cosmos can kind of relate to the app chain thesis being a real thesis. If you don't, I don't know what you're doing in Cosmos, but if you don't think that we're going to be in a multi-chain future, then I mean, that's a whole other thing. But I believe that for us to be in a multi-chain future, that doesn't mean if everything is isolated, we're screwed. Everything is
Yeah.
fragmented right now. Everything is competitive. If we want to, if we were a different kind of L1, we would have to be stealing users from Solana. We would have to be stealing users from Osmosis, right? And we don't believe in that. We believe that we need to be collaborative, especially where we are in the ecosystem. And it's, as crypto, our backs are against the wall, and it really is this kind of minority factor where it does feel like us versus the world, especially with the kind of given trust assumptions and everything like that. And so there's no point in being competitive with each other when we can be collaborative.
Amen to that. And yeah, I think that's what a lot of people in Cosmos. I mean, you're preaching to the choir when
Yeah.
when we talk
Yeah.
about Cosmos people. That's really the number one reason that I hear over and over why people are interested in Cosmos in the first place. It's the interoperability, the network becomes stronger with more chains operating, being able to communicate with each other.
Mhm.
So yeah, and that actually that's also why I wanted to bring up interoperability, because obviously you guys have been building on Cosmos technology, but how
Mhm.
much are you building? Are you building on top of Cosmos? So I'm sure you're using the Cosmos SDK.
Like the
You
comment
you
you're asking about?
So generally for the XION chain, so how many of the components are you using from Cosmos, and how much are you sort of building on top? Maybe it's a difficult question to answer
No,
on a
no, no. It
general
makes a lot
level,
of
but
sense. It makes a lot of sense. I totally understand what you're asking, actually. We obviously did start off with the Cosmos SDK, right? And there's things that we didn't change, like we didn't change the bank, right?
mm,
But on the other hand, we did make a complete overhaul of the mint module, right? And so
mm,
I don't know I mean, we made a lot of the way the protocol works is a change to the anti-handler, right, to allow for smart contracts in addition to ELAs, right? And so, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I can really put into a percentage, but I think for us, we did, I think, we've been working on this for a year and a half now, right? And so I would say, in the beginning I would say we were a lot similar, but understandably, like as time kind of progressed, we definitely changed a lot more and added a lot more. And, I think for us there's so much to be done, like so much amazing stuff with the Cosmos SDK that a lot of it is able to be similar. Like as I mentioned the bank module, etc. But then there's also a lot of things that we had to change. So I unfortunately can't give you an exact percentage, but
No, no.
it doesn't look exactly like the SDK when it first started.
And that's how most people end up. They take obviously the things they need from the Cosmos SDK or
That's
whatever.
what makes it amazing. It really is.
Exactly. That's what makes open source in general. I would say not just Cosmos, but the beauty of it.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the use cases for a bit. So we spoke a little bit about the tech under the hood. It might be a bit too technical for some people. So let's just bring it into practice. We keep talking about better user experience, onboarding the first billion, et cetera, et cetera. Let's talk a little bit about the different use cases here. You list, I think it was 6 use cases in the white paper. We don't have to go through all of them. We can talk about the ones that you are most passionate and excited about.
Yeah, yeah. Can you guess? Actually, I don't know if you could say no. I don't know. I don't know how much of the white paper you got there, but is there one that? Because there's one for me that stuck out the most that I
Mhm.
love the most. Do you think you can guess it or no?
I mean, given your history with the Banksy art piece, I would be guessing the creator economy applications,
Well, it's
but
pretty close. Pretty close.
some,
So there's what we
something
call
tells
like
me that something tells me it's the global Venmo messenger.
close.
I don't know why.
Close. It's definitely under the abstracted interoperability extensions. But
Okay.
the example that I give, and I'll just kind of like for everyone who hasn't read the right paper yet. What we kind of talk about, right, is a user is holding funds on the base network they obviously use Friendtech, and now they want to use Steppen. For those who don't know, it's a fitness app on Solana, and they want to fund their purchase of the shoes using the money that they already have on blockchain, right, which is obviously on Base. Kind of using their Zion account, they can seamlessly interact and use Steppen through their Meta account, which on the back end, right, we have a smart contract on Solana, we have a smart contract on Base. We can kind of communicate with each other. In the background, the user's base funds are transferred, converted, and used to purchase the assets on the Solana marketplace. And then they're able to kind of use the app. But for the end user, they don't see all of this kind of behind the scenes excitement, right? Or
Hmm.
I don't think for them it's excitement, but for me it's excitement. Of effectively what's going on, and what we're even doing. I think it's just, man, it makes me excited. I think that's definitely my favorite. But I think just opening up the world of possibilities, right? As you said, like a global Venmo, right, which allows for encrypted messages. You send in once, very similar to that example that I gave in earlier about Signal, right? And
Hmm.
everything is kind of
Yeah.
encrypted in that asset, and we want to remove friction. We want to be doing all of this, and so it's, it's exciting, man. I can keep saying that till the day I die, but very
A lot
excited,
of
and
opportunities here. There's a lot of
there's so much
opportunities. And
opportunities, and I think, well, it's exciting. Like I think to see the vision of crypto kind of come alive. It's been very frustrating 3 years, right? Of just waiting
yeah.
for just waiting for crypto to be like used, and a lot of it's very upsetting. Just I'll be frankly honest, right? Of you know we're not where we should have been, right? We really aren't. We should be a lot further ahead. We should be a lot
Yeah.
further ahead.
Yeah. I would agree to that. But still, I mean, we are talking about something very fundamental to the internet, really. How we
Yeah, of
store and
course.
verify data, and infrastructure. It just takes time.
I
Um,
know.
so yeah, I think I agree. We should be much further, and some of the stuff that we see, for example, the hack security vulnerability from Ledger that we saw
Hmm.
yesterday, and everybody was panicking. Are we gonna die tomorrow? You know, we we should just be much better than that as an
Hmm.
industry, and not so
Yeah.
vulnerable. But then still, I mean, we are sort of rebuilding the way the internet operates, really, or
Yep.
at least how data is getting verified and stored. And we have pretty strong competition. I think a lot of people also underestimate, like, a lot of people say, we just put it on chain and then everything is good, everybody's going to use it. I mean,
No,
not really.
no,
I mean,
not at all.
people, you got these massive tech giants who are super powerful. They have all the money in the world. The user
And
experience
they don't
is
want you to succeed.
exactly, and the user experience they have built is just fine tuned to the smallest detail that you could possibly imagine to gather as much attention, users, traction, etc. So there's stiff competition, man. I mean, we shouldn't underestimate that. Um, and I think, yeah, because we're building, basically we have the option to build one of two worlds. Either we continue on the path of Web 2, where
Hmm.
the big tech companies just continue to get bigger with more data, etc. Or we build a world where people take back control of their own data, their finances, of course, with crypto and DeFi, and all other things, art pieces like yourself.
Hmm.
Um, and that's a huge endeavor, man. It's not gonna happen overnight. But yeah, that's why we love builders over here also, like yourself, because it takes a hell of a lot of work to make that happen in practice. So
I
yeah,
mean,
that
there's
was
a lot
that.
of people. I mean, there's a lot of people who believe in the vision, right? And so it's not just the builders at all. I think it's not to sound like cheesy or anything, but we would be kind of nothing without the people who kind of support us. Um, and I do think that's important, because I think like even as we kind of look to where we were going, understanding every kind of aspect of that is extremely important. Who's excited for this? What are they excited about? Where can we build? How can we build it? And then even just participants in breaking. I think we had like 450,000 people on our last testnet. It's like 4
Wow.
million transactions, right? And and you can probably, I don't know if one of Justin's still here, but you could probably ask him of it was definitely stressful, right? We definitely put a lot of stress on the network with that, but we learned so much. We learned so much, right? And I don't think even as we kind of think about it, like our network wouldn't be the same had we not had gone those tests, and I don't think we'd be comfortable. We would be much more susceptible to kind of attacks and everything like that had we not had the community being extremely willing to go through all of these, different kind of tasks and just helping us out.
Beautiful. I see block hunters raise their hand. I just want to ask a final question, and then if you're okay with it, Bernd, I'll open up the
Sure.
floor a bit for anyone who has questions. But it's actually a two-sided question. That was a bit cheeky of me. But yeah, you talked a little bit about it already. Basically, where are you right now? So you talked about you're running a test net. So talk to us perhaps a bit about where you're heading in the short term, and then also the token, the XION token. Let's not underestimate that. You have pieces of that in the white paper of how inflation is offset by fees and stuff
Hmm.
like this. People always get excited about tokens, especially these days with
Yeah, of course,
the
of
market
course.
looking green. So I want to make sure we get around that.
Definitely, definitely. And I mean, there's not, you know, unfortunately, I can't give you the exact info on what you want on the token, but I can talk about utility a lot, right? And I think where we are now, let's answer that question first, right? Which is, we're upgrading our testnet right now to be a generalized abstraction testnet, and we are looking for next year to be at mainnet launch. You know, please, definitely. I mean, I say this a lot. I say this almost every time, but it's exciting, and we're gonna need people to help, right? So I mean, obviously, kind of stay connected and help us, help us break the chain, right? Help us kind of in the future as we kind of approach this next test net, um, you know. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. Did that answer your question? I apologize.
Yeah, I think so. People always the natural question about when a testnet is live is when do you go mainnet? Difficult to set a date,
When
of course.
tokens, sir.
Exactly. That's a classic question, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about utility. I think that's much more interesting, really,
Hmm.
because too many moon boys on Twitter these days. So
Yep.
let's talk about real utility instead.
Yeah, please. Yeah, we. It, how do I even start, right? I think you can start with like the regular, right? It's an L1, right? At the end of the day, we're still an L1. We still need validators. We still need all of this stuff. But what we don't have, right, is this kind of this need for the token to be this thing that you need to buy in order to use it, right? Our idea of success is for Zion to take the back seat, right? Is to not be heard, right? So much of the internet is run off of AWS, but so much of the people who use it have no idea what it is, right? And I would much rather that kind of success. I think that is success when it comes to Zion is oh, I don't need to buy this token. I can use my credit card and it'll happen for me in the back end. And I think that token stuff is it is short-sighted, and I think kind of however you want to kind of look at it, right? But for us, we're trying to build a very sustainable network, right? We're trying to build, we look at this in like the mint module is probably a good one where we've seen a lot of hyperinflation, and we don't agree with it. We think that fees should offset inflation, and what you stake should be kind of more tuned to, it should be more tuned to, sorry, what the API is what should, it should just be flat, right? It shouldn't be what you stake to, right? And I think you've probably seen it a lot of how how many multi like hyperinflationary tokens are out there that just have such short term
Oh yeah,
gains and it's pointless, right? And I think it's I think as we were talking, right, like we're optimizing for long term, right? We aren't here just for we've been here for 3 years at this point, right? It's we're really excited to be here for the next 30. um, you know I think as we kind of look at the utility of the token, a lot of that is to operate as kind of like a back end mechanism, right? Is And that's exciting to me, quite frankly.
definitely. And I
I'm
think
very excited about
AWS is a good example of that. Like whenever they have an outage, which happens
it. Yeah.
every now and then,
The whole internet's down. The world shuts down.
exactly, people realize, holy shit, we are super dependent
Yeah.
on AWS. All the websites people use, mobile apps, whatever, they just stop operating. Perhaps not the entire application, but parts of it. So yeah. But I want to open up the floor for block hunters. You mentioned validators. You're on L1 at the end of the day with validators. So let's bring one of them up. Block hunters, we've talked to them multiple times. I just approved your request to speak. So if you unmute yourself, block hunters,
Hey,
you can ask your question or comments on whatever you
hey,
you
hey,
have over there.
hello. My name is Viju. I just wanted to say hello. We
Hey,
are
how are you,
Cosmos
Visual?
Ecosystem Validators. I listened to the space. Very great project. We are pretty hyped about those meta accounts. We really think the multi-chain is the future. And if we can do a global Web3 Venmo, I'm down for that, man.
Good. I love to hear that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I would like
It
to
was
try that
nice
also.
hearing
I was
this.
gonna. Why don't if you guys after this, let's make a group chat, all of
Yes,
us.
yes.
Yeah, I'd love to talk more.
How can I contact you?
Can you put us in touch, Coin Club?
Yeah, definitely. I think
Beautiful.
actually, so we had you on. It's been some time now, but we had like a big panel discussion with multiple validators. One of them being
Yeah,
block hunters. So
exactly.
we have something on Telegram from way back. So yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
cool. All right,
Yeah,
definitely.
Let
yeah.
me just
So
check.
we'll
Okay.
make that happen. Either Telegram or Twitter, or we'll make it
Thank you
happen.
very much
We'll
and
make it
have a
happen.
great evening.
You as
Of
well.
course. You too. Thank you for tuning in. So, Burnt, is there anything we left out? I know the white paper is pretty packed. We also had an announcement of spotlights, which we didn't talk about much. I don't know if we should unpack this also on this space.
Which one? What
You
what
had
did
an
I do?
announcement. Yeah, what did you do now?
What did I do
You had
wrong?
a
What happened this time? God damn it.
yeah. Yeah, you're moving fast, breaking things. Maybe I don't know.
It's true. A lot, breaking a lot of things, moving very fast.
You at least you tweeted out this is today that you this XION spotlights where you have seen tremendous growth on your testnet with 100,000 users interacting. You mentioned that also. There's an upgrade around the corner, and then you can sort of apply with a form to fill out for people to have their app featured. So I just want to make sure that we cover all bases here. And if there's anything you want to talk about for different DApp
Yes.
developers out there, yeah.
I think that's great. I'm sorry, I laughed because I didn't realize, I forgot that we posted this thing on Spotlights. But yeah,
No,
absolutely. Any DApp, please definitely apply. We were obviously very excited, and we've been working on this for quite some time. But yeah, the XION Spotlight is something we're really excited for, and we kind of have our first cohort kind of coming out that we're I think we and I'll be honest, right? Like the way we kind of think about the people that we work with, and you'll see the names, right? As soon as they come out, as soon as the new upgrade is live, we've been working with a handful of names that we're really excited about, and I think like even just the concept of like DevRel, right, and just creating this ecosystem and this I call it a family in kind of some aspect, right? But we're really excited to kind of promote this Scion Spotlight and and really kind of grow out this. And I think we kind of saw a little bit with with Exodus kind of being one of the products that kind of came live. But what we're really excited for is just kind of this first real group as we kind of hit mainnet. And
mm,
obviously we and I think there's unfortunately there's kind of no unbrash way to say this, but it's like, listen, we're getting a lot of attention, obviously, and I think we're moving extremely quickly. As you said, right, like there's things like today that I didn't even remember that we're doing, but we're shipping extremely fast, and we need people to kind of help us out, right? And, we're
mm,
really excited about the Spotlight program for a lot of reasons. Whether that be helping bring users to people, or helping bring users attention, or if iteration needs to be done, this is an easy way to do it. But all in all, I think we're really excited, and yeah, this is kind of a new approach that we've been taking, but we're very excited to kind of see it through. And yeah,
are there any particular developers that you are like, or DApp projects, people building in Cosmos, for example, or is it general people within Web3 that you are sort of
it's a healthy
approaching?
mix. It's a healthy mix. It's we're Cosmosm, right? Cosmosm enabled,
Mm,
and so it
mm,
ends up being it does end up being a lot easier to work with Cosmosm projects, and people kind of already understand uh, Cosmosm, as you could probably imagine. Um, and so I would say, like, with that being said, it's mostly it's mostly Cosmosm, but I would say that like multi-chain and people who kind of understand the vision is this next, right? People who started off at Polygon and realized, oh, this doesn't solve my issues. I think you kind of come to kind of realize very quickly that that's not the incentive of a lot of people to solve those issues.
yeah, yeah,
Unfortunately, like it is what it is, but it's very unfortunate.
it is what it is. Burnt,
And that's what
how
we're
do
here for, right?
we? That's what we're here for, solving problems and building.
Exactly.
So, Bernd, how do you want to close this thing off this time? It's always a pleasure to talk to you, but I know you're a busy man also, so I want to be respectful to your time.
Thank
Something
you.
that I usually like to ask towards the end is sort of allowing ourselves to dream a bit,
Hmm.
talking about how Scion can look like 5, 10, 15 years from now, just for people to
AWS.
know.
Hey,
Yeah,
fucking AWS, dude. Seriously, when I
yeah.
say AWS, I genuinely mean that. I think I don't want to be in the front end. I don't, or no, not the front end. Sorry, I don't want to be. I don't want to be in this insane front where everyone's buying the Zion token and oh
Mm,
my god, it's this next speculative bullshit. I don't want that. I want to build
mm.
something real. I want to build. You know, I envision Zion being the next AWS because, as you're right, we're building the new internet and someone's got to be the back end for it, right? And I don't mean in the way of like, oh, ETH's gonna die and Solana's gonna die. It's we're all gonna succeed together, and there's nothing that makes me more excited than that. Genuinely.
I think that's refreshingly clear answer. Some people, give very long speeches to long-term sort of roadmaps. But AWS is a very, very easy to grasp goal that you guys have, end game, if you will.
It's an end game, exactly.
Beautiful. Burnt, it's been a pleasure, and
It is
can't wait.
always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure.
Can't wait to see another Banksy being shredded or burnt. In your case, maybe something else. Yes, you never know.
You never
But,
know.
but we're gonna definitely keep an eye on this and blast it out there when you guys do this. It's gonna be a lot of fun, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm excited for it.
Awesome,
Which
man.
is scary. That's scary. You should be scared about that.
I'm sure it's going to be put on the XION blockchain, but I don't want to steal your thunder here. But I can imagine. Who knows? Nobody.
Well, I mean, yeah, no,
Well,
we're gonna do it on ETH. What? Of course, we're doing it on Zion. What are you talking about?
I'm just imagining here. But time will tell. Time will tell.
Time will tell. Time always does tell.
Beautiful, man. Thank you so much for coming on, Bernd, and can't wait to speak to you next time, man.
Can't wait to speak to you.
Take care, guys.